Hey everybody, this is Lomi, and I'm picking back up with my character doll Backstories video here today. Today we're going to be covering the characters from my Snake's Blood Saga fantasy series. So that's most of my crew is part of that story, and I'm really looking forward to sharing a little bit about them. Some of them are a little bit spoilery just because the nature of who the characters are, they cannot be introduced or talked about without sharing some mild series spoilers. After this, I have another video that I'm going to be doing that's like more in depth, and that's going to be extremely spoiler rich, and that's why it's going to be its own video. Because there's like the basic overview and then there's the detailed one for the people who don't have any interest in reading a very long epic fantasy series. However, as I was editing this video together last night, I noticed that there was one doll that I forgot to talk about, and that is Invesi, who is my soul doll Paratisi. And that is because I put her head away and forgot that she was around, because I'm currently in the process of getting her a new body. So just the quick rundown on Invesi, and I will put a photo here in editing so that you can see. She is the leader of the Temple of Magic, where Faral and her friends train and learn to wield their magic. So that's her role, and that's all I'm going to say about her for this this little introduction. But now we're going to move on, and I will show you the rest of the dolls, share a little bit about who they are and what their role is. Oh goodness, I have to start explaining the story. Okay, we're gonna start with Little Rune. So I have a couple dolls now who are like kid versions, and that is absolutely the fault of my friend Yuna, because she did that with her dolls, and I loved it, and it was so cute that she had the adult versions and the kid versions, and then I wanted some too. So he is a Minifee Soren on a Sum Rallis body with custom hands to suit his character, and he is a kid version of this big guy on the chair back there, but I think if you watch my channel you probably know him by now because he's my favorite. So Kid Rune, and we'll get into his story later. And then Kid Faral, or Big Lulu, because both Faral, where's Faral? She's over here. Faral and Lulu are both Chloe's, just different sizes. So I can change the eyes. Right now she's got the amber eyes. So right now she's Faral, but if I put in purple ones, then she could be an older version of Lulu, who is my little feet Chloe. And I guess there's no way to avoid minor spoilers, but Lulu is Faral's daughter, who was born partway through the series. So turns out some readers really don't like it when your characters have kids, but I am a parent and I like seeing myself reflected in fiction, so I write what I want. And then a pretty recent arrival is Kid Vaughn, who is very much a work in progress right now. He is a damaged Minifee Karsh sleeping head. You can see him here. And he has no head cap. At some point during his dolly life, he probably took a fall or something, and his head cap was either broken or lost. But in order to repair the head, it was filled in back here with UV resin. So there's now no way for a regular Minifee head cap to snap in, because there's no place here, there's no groove for it to catch. So he is currently on just a 3D printed body, which is actually like really nice despite just being PLA. And this was a test body that I had printed for Link. I got the files on Thingiverse, and I've been really happy with it, except that I don't have hands made for him yet. So he's just Vaughn hooks for hands. And then Vana's over here in the very loud hoodie because I was testing that pattern and I haven't undressed him yet. So Lulu, my little fee, and then Rhyllyn are the only ones of the mini crew who are like unique characters who appear in the series. 3 out of 5 they're just smaller versions of the adults. So Rhyllyn actually doesn't make an appearance until I think it's the 4th book. It's honestly kind of hard for me to keep track of like where the different characters come in, because when I wrote the series it was originally 3 books, and then when I was querying I was told many times that there was just no way that they would ever go to print unless they were shorter, and I had to do a lot of rewriting to split the books from 3 books into 6 books, because they were, you know, like the extremely fat, like 3-inch thick epic fantasies before, and publishers don't like that. And even though I ultimately started my own publishing company so that I would have complete creative control over the editors that I was working with and who I was having do cover art, and so I could be in charge of how the books were marketed, I quickly encountered a problem of that most printing companies will not accept really fat books, and it was going to cost like almost $25 a book, I think, to have them bound. And it's like, I can't sell a book for $50 to make any kind of money, because, you know, I still have to pay all the vendor fees and everything like that. It's like, I can't do that. So I ended up keeping them split in half so that they were easier to get to print. So Rhyllyn comes in about book 4, I believe, and his existence is at that point a little bit of a shock. And actually, maybe it would make more sense if I put his explanation after runes. I'm gonna do that in editing though, because I'm already here talking. Alright. So I think I'm gonna go, for the big dolls, I'm gonna go left to right, like when I'm looking at the shelf. So this is Rika, and she is, as you can see from her outfit, she is a mage. All of my mage characters wear the same style of robes because they all go to the same Temple of Magic, and they are all taught the same disciplines. So Rika is a wind mage, and she is a yellow rank mageling, which is the 3rd tier. The bands on her sleeve represent the different ranks that she's already graduated. The introductory rank is gray, and then after that is lavender. So yellow makes her 3rd rank. So from a non-spoilery story standpoint, she is one of Fral's close friends and one of her classmates. So anytime that there is a story scene that involves like her friend group at the temple, Rika is usually there. And then there's Rune, who is my favorite. He's the best, and he was also my first doll, so he's the most special. And he, of course, is a custom face sculpt that I made the first head that I ever sculpted. So this is he is the only one in the world, and he is not for sharing. He's just for me. But he is my hybrid monstrosity. He's got the April House EID superhero body, and then he's got custom hands and elbows, and then he's got the Sum Manzo feet, and the straps on his spats are broken, and I'm very sad about that. So Rune is like partially undressed for some reason, and that's kind of in character, but we're gonna fix that. So Rune is he's the anti-hero. He's actually kind of the antagonist for a bit, and yeah. So his whole thing, and kind of the foundation of the story, is that he is a free mage. In the story world, mages are each bound to an affinity, which is basically an element, and it limits the amount of power that they can use and also the number of sources that they can draw on. Mages who are too powerful end up risking basically destroying themselves with their own magic. In the story world, there are legends that there used to be mages that were not fettered by affinities, and they were able to wield power from any source, basically an unlimited amount of power. And somewhere along the way, some mages decided it would be a good idea to see if it was possible to unbind somebody's affinity so that they could touch magic from any source. And the end result of that attempt was Rune. Trying to unbind his power left him corrupted, and that is why he has the lizard hands with the claws and the feet. This is a direct result of his magic being tainted and corrupted by the unbinding process. As a result, he's unfathomably powerful, but he's also a social outcast because obviously he's been made into a monster. But there is nothing more dangerous than a powerful outcast. So then when he and Pharrell meet, he takes advantage of her need for assistance to convince her to teach him to control his magic, because he has been pretty much shunned and cast aside by the people who were supposed to be in charge of his training. The way they see it, if he never learns how to control it, he'll never be dangerous, because wild magic will just end up destroying him eventually as long as he can't wield it properly. So this is Kitinya, or Kit for short, and I just remembered that I did not explain that Rika, she's over here, she's a Feeble 65 Rin with an eye-opening modification. The Rin faceplate was only released as an event faceplate that was like with dreaming eyes, and I modified those open. And then Kit is a Feeble 65 Cheyenne? I have no idea how that name is supposed to be said. I don't think it's actually a real name, because I googled it once and the doll is literally the only thing that comes up. Kit is Pharrell's best friend. You can see she is also a 3rd rank mage in the yellow robes, and she is a little bit mom friend, and she's probably also one of the least ambitious of the mages because she wants to be a healer to help her family. And her affinity is healing, so it's a natural career choice for her. But she is very domestically minded, and she sees herself sort of eventually settling down at some point. And he's kind of like lurking right there next to her. She and Vaughn are kind of a thing. So then there is Pharrell, who is my Feeble 65 Chloe, and I never intended to have all of these Feeble girls. I don't know how that happened. Pharrell is the main character, the primary protagonist of the Snake's Blood saga. And she is not wearing her robes right now, but she is a 4th rank mage, which puts her 1 level above Kit and Rika, and her robes are green with the additional, like, the yellow band on her sleeve. So Pharrell's backstory is that she was raised at the temple, and that is not unusual for mage children, especially since she has a healing affinity, and affinities tend to be hereditary. She knows that one or both of her parents was a healer, which is unfortunately the most dangerous job for a mage to have. Healer mages are regularly sent out from the temple to attend places that are afflicted by plague and things like that. They're sent to the front lines on battlefields so that they can be a medic. So the fact that she was left at the temple to be raised is normal, because her parents were obviously in one of the more dangerous roles for a mage to keep. But word of her parents' deaths has never actually reached the temple, so she has sort of a personal mission to eventually be stationed at the capital, where she'd have access to their records so she could find out how exactly her parents disappeared. And she gets that opportunity early, and this is the premise of the first book, when all of the temple's mages are invited to the annual solstice celebration in the capital. She knows that if she can get there, she would be able to talk to the court mages and see if she would be granted access to the records early. So if she makes that trip, she can get all of the answers that she's wanted about her heritage and then plot her course for how she wants to spend the rest of her life upholding her family legacy. Next is Vaughn, and he is an Evil House SID Claude. And don't you love how well his very bright hoodie goes with his leather riding pants and his riding boots? So, most basic description, Vaughn is a soldier in the capital who enlisted to appease his father, and he unfortunately has the remarkable rank of errand boy for the army. The whole scope of his role is a lot more complicated than that, but we're gonna get to that in the spoiler section, I think. And this is Lumia. She is an Impel Lydia, and I'm going to just take a second to skip her and talk about Garam, who is right over here, because I don't want to bring him over here yet because his head is still a work in progress. That's an original sculpt that I'm doing. And he is on an Impel House EID model body that I have dyed brown. And Garam's role, he's introduced in the 3rd book, and he is the captain of the Royal City Guard in the Triad. He becomes Rhune's commanding officer, and Garam is probably one of the only people who is not afraid of Rhune, because guess who can win in a fight? It's him. We're going straight into spoiler territory. So Lumia is, what's the most simple explanation? She is queen of what is the enemy faction in the early part of the series, and she is the one pulling Rhune's strings. So then Rhyllyn appears, and for the first time, Rhune is not alone. He has somebody else who shares the same affliction. Rhyllyn was contaminated by tainted magic, and it changed his physical form. And this meant that he had basically unfathomable magic, incredible amounts of power, but this is the price that he pays. He obviously needs a place to fit into the world, so the best place for him to be is with somebody who understands not just how his magic works, but the consequences of its effects. So Rhune takes him in as a little brother, and Rhyllyn just kind of grows up there. So I think that's everybody for right now, so I'm gonna stop this one here. And then in the next video, we move into all the series spoiler details and whatnot. That's like a basic breakdown of some of the stuff going on in that story series for those of you who may not ever get around to reading it. And that's okay. It's not for everybody. That's fine. But I'm going to stop there for now. So thank you for joining me, and I will be back with something a little more usual for my channel next week. I think it's a face up, but I don't remember. We'll find out. But yeah, questions, comments, leave them here, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Take care and see you next time.